What is up, my people? It's Marshall from Holix here. So I recently started playing this game called Among Us, and I'm really feeling this game, y'all. I mean, it's simple to pick up and play, and it's hella fun, but it takes some time to get really good at it. So I wanted to put together some tips and tricks that I've learned so far. So I'll be sharing tips for being an imposter and a crewmate. And also, y'all, this game is free on mobile, and it's like $5 on PC if you prefer to play that way. But recently they updated the game so PC and mobile players can play together. So what does all that mean? That means that I want to play some matches with y'all, man. So whether you have a mic or not, we can actually play. So make sure to hit me up on Discord and let me know that you're from YouTube so we can run a match sometime. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I'd really appreciate that. And it'll help other players find this video as well. Also, if there's any tips you want to share, be sure to put them in the comments below. So without further ado, let's jump into the video. So in Among Us, you really gotta be on your P's and Q's. As an imposter, you gotta get your acting on to sell your story to the group. And as a crewmate, you gotta be like a whole detective to cut through the BS and make sure that you don't look suspicious while also being innocent. So it's crazy, but my first tip for this is actually to look at the rules when you're joining a room. Now, there are different settings that vary by what the host has chosen. So it helps because you know how long voting is, the number of tasks there are, if the imposter is revealed or not when they're voted off, etc. And since this game is about mystery, I prefer to know who the imposters are at the end of the game, but one could argue that this benefits the imposters a little bit more. But I prefer that setting even if I'm a crewmate every game. It's way more fun that way to me. Now, this is how you can find the settings. And if you're the host, this is how you can change the settings. If there is something you don't like or want to try out, you should suggest that the settings be changed for the next game. The next tip is being persuasive. I mean, your ability to persuade others is key, and this skill is helpful as both imposter and crewmate. It is kind of weird telling people to lie, but that's essentially what you have to do in this game, especially as an imposter. I mean, you have to come up with your own story on defense, and when accusing someone else, you have to make a case against them, but you can't go too hard because it may seem like you're just throwing blame to get it off yourself, even though you're innocent. And there may be times that playing dumb really helps too. Like, oh, I don't really know that name of the part of the map, or I'm newer to this map, so I'm not familiar with this, you know what I'm saying, etc. The next tip is for the imposter. You really have to be able to explain yourself, so I would suggest getting familiar with each map. And you can do this by going to free play and at least getting a basic knowledge of where some things are. And second, actually use the map you have to know where tasks are needed. Now, this isn't something you absolutely have to do because from my time with it, most players aren't actually paying attention to that, but it definitely helps divert suspicion because you can justify why you were standing in a certain spot or faking a task. Now, this also doubles as a way to find the crew. If you know where tasks are needed, you can head in that direction because you know a crewmate has to go there eventually. And quick bonus tip, make sure you know where the cameras are on each map and avoid hurting anyone on camera unless the power is turned off, of course. There is a much greater chance of you being a crewmate in matches. So this is where my next tip comes in. As a crewmate, you not only have to do your tasks and avoid being killed, but you also have to pay attention to the other players. You need to keep your eye out on everyone. So if you're around others and they are seemingly doing a task, you should watch them to see if they actually complete their task. Like, watch for the task bar on the top left to actually increase. This is harder during the beginning of the game because so many people are doing tasks, so the bar is pretty much always going up, and it's easier for an imposter to fake it. But if someone walks up to a task and stands there for a while, but when they're done, the task bar hasn't moved, they are most likely the imposter or at the minimum a suspect, so you need to tell the group to keep an eye on them. This doubles as an imposter tip as well. Wait for the meter to increase before leaving your fake task. Don't just randomly walk up to tasks, stand there, and then just walk away. You gotta make it seem like you're an actual crewmate. In a lot of matches that I play, when someone reports a body or calls a meeting, someone is always asking who found the body or who reported it. And the answer is actually available for everyone to see on the meeting screen, but I'm not sure if everyone knows that. There is a megaphone next to the person's name who called the meeting or who reported the body. So look for that on screen because this can definitely save some time and it allows the discussion to progress to more important topics because you only have a limited time to sniff out who the imposter is. But again, this doubles as an imposter tip as well because you want the voting session to end as quickly as possible and you want to keep the conversation from progressing so you can ask who reported the body or where was it found, stuff like that, to kind of delay things or just kind of make everything take longer. Now, if you and the other imposter are still in the game together and during the meeting your fellow imposter is getting called out and getting into trouble, jump in to provide some backup and cast doubt elsewhere if you can. Someone did this for me and it literally saved me, y'all. It worked perfectly and it took the blame off of me and put it on the person who was pointing the finger at me. And we actually won the game and neither of us were voted off. So this can really be clutch if you do it at the right time. This next one is simple, but it can really be clutch as well, and it's being quiet. Like, just being quiet can win you the game. Now, this doesn't work in all cases, of course, but it definitely has a higher success rate. Now, when you're in these meetings, everyone is trying to talk and give their 2 cents, and time is limited. So sometimes just falling back and letting everyone else argue or cast blame can really go a long way. And I've been in a few matches that I was literally shocked at who the imposters were because we never heard from them or even thought about them. I mean, it was legit like they weren't even there. Like I was saying earlier, some things don't work 100% of the time. And this brings me to my next tip, which is adapting to the group you're in. I mean, each group will have a different vibe and the meetings will be done differently. So some may be more chaotic and being more quiet may be the right move or the best move. And other groups may want input from every single person, so being quiet will actually look suspicious. Essentially, you just want to be aware of the group norms and kind of adjust your strategy based on the people you're playing with. And for the last tip, if you're in a match with no voice chat, be sure to type the fastest, y'all. No voice chat matches can be harder to win sometimes because you aren't able to get as much information or know when someone is lying. And also, I feel like a lot of people just go with what the first person says. So when I play on mobile, I use voice to text and it's probably 2 to 3 times faster than typing for me. Now, if you're an imposter, you should hurry up and shift blame when you can. And if you're a crewmate, immediately share all the suspect activity you may have noticed. And like the footage I'm showing now, please don't jump the gun because when someone accuses another person, you should give them a chance to explain because they may be getting framed by the imposter. And in this situation, I was framing them. There was one time where the imposter killed me and was seen doing it. And the guy that found my body reported it, but got voted off because the imposter typed faster and shifted blame to him. Now, my entire team is at fault for this as well because as soon as he was voted off, it said he was not an imposter. So they should have ran back, called a meeting, and voted off the other guy who was already reported as killing someone. But for some reason, they just continued on playing like all of that didn't even happen. Now, if you've made it to this part of the video, thank you, and I appreciate you watching. And if you enjoyed the video, then let me know by giving it a like. Also, I want to know, are you already playing Among Us, or is this your first time hearing about that game? Now, let me know in the comments below. Also, we have some great videos in the pipeline, so be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.